Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of BGG's Talk Show. I'm your host, Win Garcia, and today we've got a super exciting episode lined up for you. I'm all about bringing people together, learning from one another, and celebrating the unique ways we all communicate. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and let's dive into today's conversation about culture, communication, and how we can all connect a little better with each other. So let's welcome our guests, Miss Johanna Pua, Miss Jennifer Bumogao, Miss Jason Almeida, and Mr. Paul Maslian. Okay, so let's start with our first question.
So for me, immigration, our great grandparents rooted from La Union, Ilocos, and Pangasinan. Their children, our grandparents, migrated to Baguio City to go to college universities and have their own families.
So as for me, my background came from ancestral heritage. We originally came from the highlands of Benguet and Mountain Province. So I am part of the modern generation from the indigenous people of Cordillera.
From what my parents told me, my great grandfathers on the both sides were pure Chinese. Then they moved here in the Philippines, specifically in Isabela. Then they quickly adapted to the Filipino culture.
My family come from a mixed culture, which is from Benguet and La Union. This means I grew up experiencing different communication styles.
Our ancestors taught us to always respect the elders, such as saying po or opo when talking to them and placing the back of their hand onto our forehead as a sign of respect, or what we call mano po in Tagalog.
As for me, there's a lot of values we inherited, but one of the most influential is the importance of presence in various situations, either celebrations or memorials. Because in our culture, your presence is a sign of alice and humility. It's always the best gift. So more of personal interaction.
Same to as what Jessa have said. We're very respectful when talking to older people, especially to my grandparents because they're a little strict. So we use po and opo, and we also do the mano po when greeting them.
I agree with Miss Jessa. One of the biggest influence in my communication style is respect for the elders. In my culture, this means we often use formal language with older people and avoid interrupting.
It's actually depending on the person. For example, I chat with my cousin with Jajamon style because we find it entertaining and it's to assure us both that we're okay, or talking with shortcuts or slurs. Also adding emojis to my messages because it's for showing people how I feel about my message. And communication has changed my ability to adapt to a person, and it has also changed my words and my respect to different kinds of people.
So for me, somewhat the same with Jessa, but also we adjusted into using main languages like English and Filipino. And and we also use emojis as a form of emotion, especially on social media. To add up, we also use neology words like selfie, vlogs, and stuff.
As I interact with different people, I learned how to adjust my communication style based on how they talk to me to match their energy. I am very cautious when talking to other people to avoid disrespecting them without me knowing.
For me, as I started interacting with people from different backgrounds, I realized that communication style vary a lot. For example, I had a friend from Tarlac, and whenever he talks, there's a word "I" in the last sentence. That's why when I also talk to him, I also say "I" in the last sentence.
So actually, sometimes people are more comfortable when you have the same level of communication. And people have different types of humors or opinion on things, and we have to adjust and adapt on how to properly communicate with them in order to not be rude or insensitive when they have it different than ours. Because sometimes it can lead to miscommunication or having an argument on something trivial.
However different culture belief is, you always have to respect. If you think the culture is way out of your league, at least respect it still. Use proper tone, do not overstep boundaries, especially if you just met.
One thing that I can suggest to the viewers is that they need to have their own research regarding to different cultures and be cautious when talking to others to avoid being rude or disrespectful.
I think be open-minded and respect differences. Understand that different cultures have different norms. What seems rude in one culture might be totally normal in other. You don't have to change to who you are, but respect someone else's way of communicating builds stronger connections.
So yeah, I agree. So don't assume everyone shares the same norms. So just because you and someone else share language doesn't mean you share the same cultural background. So be aware that customs, values, and communication styles can vary widely. In conclusion, so understanding our cultural background and how it influences communication is an important step toward becoming a more effective communicator. But equally, it is important that recognizing and adapting to the differences that others bring to the table. So as you interact with people from various cultures, remember to stay open, be respectful, and adjust your communication styles as needed. It's all about building bridges and fostering understanding. So thank you for listening, and I hope these tips help you in your own cross-cultural communication journey. So thank you for your cooperation, guys.
Thank
Have a nice
you.
day.